Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. The title of today's webinar is How to Supercharge Your TMS with a Document Management System. Today, I'm going to be one of your presenters. My name is Jay Dote. I'm an account executive here at Microdia. Along with myself, you guys are going to be hearing from Kevin Fernandez. Kevin is one of our senior solution architects here at Microdia. For our customers on the call, many of you may be familiar with Kevin as he's worked in many of your environments. Let's get started. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that transportation and logistics companies face in the market today, how those challenges can be perceived as opportunities through integrations with your TMS, your transportation management system, and how we can make some game-changing capabilities accessible to you all through your DMS. From there, Kevin is going to go into a live demonstration of Synergize. We'll have a conclusion, and then we'll get to the questions that you've typed out for us. Now, it's no secret, transportation and logistics companies spend a pretty penny on their TMS systems, and it's crucial for any business to make the most out of that investment. Now, the frustration often is, in order to get the most out of your investment, oftentimes you do have to double down and make further investments. So you can think of that as perhaps buying apps for your smartphone, or if you're an asset-based trucking company, perhaps buying tires for your trucks, or perhaps putting technology in your cabs to become more efficient. Whatever the case is, oftentimes the reality is you do have to double down to make the most of the technology that you have. This, of course, does present opportunities, specifically opportunities for optimizing your back office. It can look like improving your visibility, relieving process bottlenecks within the organization, or automating manual tasks within the organization, perhaps such as indexing or routing documents for whatever business logic you choose. Now, how this is all capable is through integrations with your transportation management system. With our document management system, Synergize, we look to speed up capturing, processing, and storing documents by pushing and pulling that information to and from your TMS. Really, the goal here is to take away some of those manual, repetitive processes that you do right now and move them into our automation engine. Now, on the bottom half of the screen, you all see some TMS vendors that you could be familiar with. This is just a short list of TMSs that we currently work with. And I'm sure most of you have at least one of these TMSs in your environment now. It's important to note that we do work with homegrown systems as well, through either web service calls or through your team and my team working to create APIs. Now, with an automation engine such as Synergize that integrates into your TMS, really what we're able to do is view documents without switching screens. We're able to index and check in incoming proof of delivery documents and accessorials automatically. We can do things such as complete rendition billing with all backup documents attached and automatically bill your customers. We can send out automated collection reminders for whatever business logic you have, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, perhaps it's a week if you're a little more aggressive. You can do things such as sending out settlement sheets to your drivers or your owner-operators through Synergize with a single click. And of course, you can also update load statuses automatically when assigned rate confirmations come into your system. From now, what I'm going to do is switch over the presentation to Kevin, and we're going to do a walkthrough of Synergize and how we can work to automate some of these manual repetitive tasks for you.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, everyone. So today's demo is going to cover a couple of different things. We're going to start off with our Synergize Web Explorer application, and we're going to then move into our capture methods, the different ways that we can kind of get documents into Synergize. From there, we're going to kind of move on to our workflow automation solution and then talk about and quickly go over some of the integration points that we have with today's TMSs out there. So to start off with, what you're looking at on the screen today is our new Synergized Web Explorer application, where users have the ability to essentially search for documents and retrieve documents simply by entering either an order number. So in this case, if I enter 1153 and I hit enter, you get to see your results pop up directly within the results window of the application itself. And by selecting a line item, you get to see a preview of that image, as well as the properties of that document to what it was tagged to. Now, something else to keep in mind here is if you wanted to filter further, if you wanted to filter down and maybe filter on a specific document type as an example, you would be able to come into the solution and essentially select from the drop-down a document type. And by simply selecting the document type option, you get to, in this case, I'll select bill rating and hit the filter button again, and you'll see that the result selection has been significantly reduced. Some of the other options that we have within the actual interface itself allows for security-driven type controls for how people see documents within the solution itself. For example, currently I'm logged in as an admin into Synergize, and I have the view that's currently set up as View All. So I get to see every single document that exists in the system for that specific order and for that specific document type. If you wanted to set up rules around maybe different branches or different terminals, so I have 2 different branches or 3 different branches and terminals selected over here. So if I picked LA, with the same result set, I am now restricted to just the one document that comes up because that document is the only document tied to that branch. If I flip to Colorado over here, I'll get 2 documents that come up and so forth. So being able to control what your users have access to see from within Synergize, and also being able to control access from a standpoint of who has the ability to delete documents out of Synergize is something that can be controlled within this interface. Now, when it comes to Synergize itself, Synergize also is a place where you can store other types of documents. So outside of just AR documents, you can store AP documents, you can store customer contracts, you can store driver documents, and so forth. So really, a repository for us is a digital filing cabinet that allows your users and your businesses to store documents against multiple different repositories. The benefit of this is, which you'll see later on in the demo, is being able to retrieve these documents directly out of your TMS by a single click. Some of the other functionality that we have from within the interface itself is being able to download a document so that maybe you need to send that document to a user, maybe you need to send that to a customer, maybe a customer calls in and says that they need a copy of that document. By simply clicking the download documents button at the very top, you are able to download a document in its original format, which in this case is a TIFF image, if you can kind of see that at the bottom left corner of the screen. Or you could convert that on the fly to a PDF and then essentially click on the download button, and that actually creates a PDF on the fly that you can then send to your customers. Furthermore, we also have the ability to keep track of logs. So every single document that's stored in Synergize has some sort of a log tied to it, whether it is the date and time that the document was stored into Synergize and by who, to who opened it, and if any of the properties of that document was updated. A lot of these stats can then be used to run your own reporting. Reporting can be generated on how long a document was sitting in Synergize before it was processed, maybe from a workflow queue, to maybe taking a look at all the invoices that were generated for a on a specific day. Next, we're going to cover our capture methods. So Synergize offers multiple different ways to capture documents and get them into Synergize. One of the most common ways to get documents into Synergize is using our Synergize indexing application. The indexing application is a standalone application that essentially is installed either on a local PC or on a terminal server. And it can be used in conjunction with a single standalone scanner, where a user would essentially stick paperwork in the scanner, click on the Scan New button, and the paperwork would get processed, and the preview of that document would be displayed on the screen for a user to begin starting the indexing process. A lot of our customer base today use this application in conjunction with multifunction units. And what that means is you are able to use some of those Xerox, Canon type scanners and have those documents or those batches scanned directly to a network folder where a user is essentially clicking on Open Batch, browsing out to that network folder, selecting the batch, clicking on Open, and essentially opening up that batch to be able to index it. To begin the indexing process, the user simply selects Start Indexing, and that begins the indexing process. By indexing, to begin indexing, you simply enter in this case, an order number. By hitting the Tab key, you'll get to see that we're able to pull back a bunch of information from the TMS directly. In this case, I'm pulling back information like customer ID, consignee, shipper, and commodity. The idea here is being able to integrate with your TMS so that when a user punches in an order number, or a trip number, or a pro number, as an example, we're able to instantly validate that information against the TMS so that upfront the user knows that the information is correct based on the data that's getting pulled back and the image that they have up on the screen. If a user punches in an incorrect order number, there is a message that pops up that allows the user to know, and the system essentially lets the user know that the order number that they entered in is incorrect.
Now, for those of you that are Synergize customers on the call today, this may be redundant, but it is important to note that you are able to change the information that is seen. So whereas right now we have order number, delivery date, workflow, scan date, consignee, shipper, and commodity showing up as indexing values, those can be tweaked depending on which repository or electronic filing cabinet we're assigning a document to, or what kind of document we are scanning.
The next most common way of getting documents into Synergize is through our inbox monitoring application. The solution is entirely automated, where users have the ability to pick, or customers have the ability to pick a single email address that we can monitor and essentially extract the attachments on the fly and have them stored directly into Synergize. What you're looking at on the screen right now is my Gmail account that I have a single email that has an attachment tied to it. And really what you're going to see today is really a process that runs in the background, that runs every couple of seconds. And this process really, all it does is it just pulls that email address, and in a few seconds here, you'll see this email disappear and essentially be moved to a process folder. It's important to note here that we don't actually delete any emails out of your mailbox. We actually just process them up, or rather move them off to other folders within that mailbox so that you always have a copy of that original email at all times. So in a few seconds here, this process is going to run. It's already run. It's moved that. It's picked up that email. And if I go back to my Synergize web interface, so in this case, Synergize Web Explorer, and if I clear these out and I just go to my inbox queue and I refresh this view over here, you'll see that my document that I just processed is going to pop up here, and you're going to be able to see you'll be able to see some of the information I was able to extract from that document itself. It's also important to note that if you have any information in the subject line for that document or in the file name of that attachment, we would be able to extract that information to help with some of the indexing up front when it gets into Supercharge. So again, this document just came in. It's 2:14 over here our time, and this was about a few seconds ago. Users also have the ability to process this document from a workflow standpoint. So if you had a document that came in that was not indexed, by selecting the open documents in the workflow mode, would give you the ability to open that specific document up, be able to index that document accordingly against an order number, and then essentially process it off to the next queue, maybe for billing to take care of. So if all I did here was enter the order number, the bill of lading document type was automatically extracted from within the attachment because it was identified in the attachment. I can always come in here and change that document type to something else if I needed to. Again, by simply clicking the process button, that document processes out, and that would be the end of dealing with that indexing process. The next application I'm going to go over is our Synergize OCR application. So So OCR, for anyone that has not had any contact with that, OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And what that really means is being able to essentially take a document and be able to extract data properties off the page, or scrape data properties off the page, to be able to auto-index that document and have it stored in Synergize without having anyone be able to touch that document.
Further, through our TMS integration, what we can do with that document is validate pieces of information on that document and index them against that image. So
what I have on the screen here is what we refer to as our Synergize OCR Form Designer application. And what it gives you the ability to do is essentially browse out to a template, pull that template into the interface itself, and then define what zones, which in other words is a field, that you want to extract off the document itself. So if I wanted to put in here customer as a new field, customer ID, and I hit OK, my new field is instantly added into the designer. And at that point, what I'm doing is I'm going to select region, and I'm just going to draw my box around the information I want to extract. This box can be drawn anywhere on the page if I wanted to, and by simply clicking on test, I'm making sure within this designer that the information that I'm extracting looks correct. By doing this for all your high volume customers, as an example, and by defining what fields you want to extract, could result in a huge time savings when it comes to receiving documents, maybe using email inbox monitoring and having those documents go through the OCR engine, having them flow directly into Synergize, and also have them validated and associated with the orders that within your TMS can be done in a matter of seconds. Next, I'm going to cover our mobile capture application. This is a product that's new to our suite of applications. And what it gives you the ability to do is essentially take a phone, either an Android or an iOS device, and load our application called LoadPal onto it. The application allows you to integrate directly with your TMSs, giving the driver the ability to see only the loads that he or she needs to be on. So what you're looking at on the screen right now is the LoadPal application that is only extracting the loads that this driver that I'm logged in as driver one name, this driver has assigned to. So if I were to select the 34 load, what I get from a display standpoint, just to kind of describe the interface to you, the very top of the screen, customer ID, driver code, from zone, load ID, pieces, and status, all of that information is getting pulled back directly from your TMS. The document types at the bottom of the screen are document types that are required for that driver to submit in order to meet the minimum requirements on the TMS side. So by selecting bill of lading, what essentially happens is the camera gets initialized within the device itself, and there are multiple different ways to kind of get this page to be captured. One is by simply clicking the green capture button at the bottom, and that simply captures the image itself. And by simply clicking the done at the top right hand of the screen, we're basically submitting this document by clicking the little paper airplane button at the very bottom, submitting this document against the bill lading document type and against order number 34. But some of the other functionality that we have here is also being able to take a picture of maybe a driver's license. If I use the same document as an example and I take this picture, being able to use the same app to maybe be used for a claims document, maybe for damages. Being able to take a picture of something and be able to submit it against a different repository. So maybe you have a claims repository, maybe you have a driver docs repository. Being able to take that document by clicking on done, I'm going to click the paper airplane button here again, and selecting the category, which is essentially the repositories that I have available. I'm going to pick my claims repository, and you'll see the document type list that comes back is going to be different from the one from the AR side. So I don't have bill ladings and so forth, but now I have damages and accident reports and so forth. So if I click damages and I punch in my order number or my reference number of any kind, by simply clicking on that, punching that information and clicking on send, the document then gets submitted to Synergize and automatically uploaded to that specific repository. You'll also notice the little push notification that you get on your device itself to let the driver know or the user know that the document was successfully sent to Synergize. Next, we're going to cover our Synergize Workflow Automation solution. So Synergize Workflow is a way for you to be able to take documents that are scanned into Synergize, whether it comes in through inbox monitoring, mobile capture, or simply by scanning documents into the system, be able to take those documents and automatically route them through your business. So what you're looking at on the screen is a real simple workflow, typically used when we configure an AR solution, where you have documents that flow into the AR inbox queue, and you'll notice that there's the word auto in a few places here. In the majority of the spots, these arrows are kind of going into, and the reason that's there is to kind of show you that from a workflow standpoint, a lot of the processes that run behind the scenes are moving documents automatically from queue to queue. But as these documents move from queue to queue, we are also triggering notifications on the TMS, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Part of what the workflow also does is being able to take a carrier invoice and move it down to the carrier invoice queue, and then move all other supporting documents to the billing queue so that your billers have access to those documents. If documents for some reason, don't get approved automatically based on our integration with the TMS, where in some cases we're able to take the amount on a carrier invoice, the invoice number, maybe the carrier ID, and validate that information against your TMS. And if it matches, we're able to approve and push that information to the accounts payable team. If that information does not match, we do also have a process for dealing with exceptions. In this case, we have a rejected workflow queue where a user then has to deal with that exception. We also have the ability to ask questions. We have the ability to configure a question in the workflow where we can ask the user to basically approve this invoice. And the benefit of this is being able to keep track of a log from a backend so that you know who approved that invoice. Some of the other integration points that we have from a workflow standpoint is being able to notify somebody that there's documents out there sitting in the exceptions queue. As an example, we can configure notifications from a depth level, meaning how many documents are sitting out there in a workflow queue, to how long a document was sitting in a workflow queue based on hours, days, hours, and minutes. So to quickly go over our TMS integration. A TMS integration typically starts off with three very simple integration points. I've got TMW Suite open over here, TMW Operations. So some of you might be familiar with this screen. We have integrations like this with multiple different TMSs. Today we integrate with MercuryGate, we integrate with Tailwind, we integrate with Tailwind.
Yeah, 3G TMS, we integrate with homegrown systems as well. So really for today, Kevin's going to be walking us through TMW Operations and how that integration works, simply for the fact that we have that in our virtual machine environment. However, regardless of what TMS you have out there, if we can have an API or a web service call asked of it, we can integrate with it. But for the purposes of today's demo, we will be showing you TMW Operations and our integrations with TMW Operations.
So some of the three major integration points that we typically configure from an AR standpoint starts off as simple as just being able to view your documents out of the interface itself. So being able to take a look at, pull up an order number within the TMS, in this case it's 4153, be able to click on a tab and be able to look at all the documents that exist in Synergize from your TMS is one option. By double clicking on that image, you also get to see a bigger preview of that image. Furthermore, some of you may be familiar with the term checklist or document check-in. Checklists are a way for us to notify the TMS that a document has come in. So in this case, from a TMW operations standpoint, or if you have TruckMate, it'd be checklist. If you have MercuryGate, it's activities. Each of the different TMSs have different terminologies, but essentially what we're doing here is letting the TMS know that, in this case, a bill lading, by checking the box off, a bill lading has come into the system. If this was a required document for invoicing purposes, because the document has been stored into Synergize and has triggered the notification to the TMS, you'd be able to invoice your customer. If this was a required document, the document was not in the system, you would not be able to invoice the customer. So those are just some of the settings that you have the ability to configure from within the TMS, but leveraging the imaging system to be able to invoice your customers quickly and easily. From an invoicing standpoint, the third part of the integration is being able to automatically invoice your customers using these checklist items to be able to send your invoices out to your customers using the bill to information that you have on file for that TMS within your TMS. So if you have an email customer, we would automatically email those customers using the documents that were stored into Synergize and being able to send them out directly to your customers via email or by printing them out directly to a folder. Some of the new ways that we've recently come across where customers also find that they're having some issues kind of uploading images is maybe through an FTP site or through websites, where today we do have the ability to assist with those different methods as well, where we have the ability to upload to an FTP site or even to a website for that matter. So to summarize, we just covered a couple of different scenarios from a standpoint of what we can do in Synergize, but there are a variety of different ways that there are a variety of different other solutions that we have as well. We have solutions from the AR standpoint, we have solutions on the collection side where we have the ability to keep track of invoices from a 30, 60, 90-day mark, where the system can automatically send your email notifications out to your customers to let them know that invoices are past due, all the way to validating information from a rate confirmation standpoint, being able to send an electronic email with allowing users to be able to accept rate confirmations electronically over the web, and that acceptance can also trigger loads to be dispatched within your system.
All right, thank you for that, Kevin. Now, we did cover integrations as it relates to AR specifically, but as Kevin mentioned, that is only a small portion of how we integrate with various TMSs. Everyone should be able to see my screen now. To quickly conclude here, really what we're showing is with greater automation, the possibility is for you to increase your cash flow. How we do this is by reducing human error and taking away labor costs of manual repetitive tasks such as document check-in or indexing, for example. The goal here is to create a better visibility for the organization, to build business logic, and of course, giving you the ability to scale, perhaps with your staff being able to scale faster, quicker. Really the bottom line here, and I think the point that we are driving home is, of course, everyone on the phone has invested in a strong TMS, and you've probably spent significant money doing so. Our proposition is the next logical step would be to double down on that investment and pair it with a strong document management system. That concludes our webinar. If any of you have any further questions, my contact information is on the screen. I can definitely help you guys in answering any of your questions. Take care and have a good rest of your day.